So I've opened this up for questions.
What is Blue Rock Manufacturing going to be manufacturing?
It's a green technology, and they actually have a United States patent to do 3 different things that they want to do in this area. I think they have a few more, but 3 that they will specifically do. And from the way it was explained to me in simple terms, they are taking coal from the southern part of the state and bringing it up and turning it into like a carbon sludge. And that sludge will be used for, similar to LED batteries, almost like a Lego, but it's a brick that will be used.
Thank you.
Amy, what do you see as the greatest needs in workforce training? Any gaps that employers are struggling with? Aside from the general need every employer has just to get people.
Right.
But in terms of skills, are there gaps in skill sets that are being addressed in the county?
Specific to industry, I think they're specific to industry.
But you're not seeing like one big glaring gap of we can't attract X, Y, or Z because we don't have the people with.
Technology, I'm hearing, aviation, mechanic.
Okay.
You know, in all different areas, even to the mechanics to the level of even healthcare. And I didn't realize that there was an overlap with mechanics and healthcare, but you know, we're hearing that as well. We're hearing that on high level, white collar, blue collar, both with mechanics. Technology is huge, same thing, all different levels of that.
Okay, thank you.
How do you work to attract workforce from other areas? I mean, we see, everybody knows West Virginia's had a population drain over the past several decades, and it's always been kind of the thought of younger people go to college or go to a trade school and then go somewhere else. And we've seen those people leave. How do you get the West Virginia expats back? How do you work to attract other people to come in and fill positions if there isn't a workforce that's, or, I mean, we train people here, but there's also, we have to reverse the population decline. How do you work to do that? Where is that like a real serious problem we have to overcome, or is that overblown?
It's a serious problem, but we all have it. And I realize that you can stay in your own little bubble and you realize, oh my gosh, this is a huge issue for us, but it's a big issue everywhere. And I realized I actually went to Nagoya, Japan, and heard other presentations, and you ask them what are their issues, they're listing the same things we are. They're talking about homelessness, they're talking about trained workforce, they're talking about workforce in general, they're talking about losing their population. Like, wow, okay, it's the same thing we're dealing with. We had an Asian population that did a presentation. We had one from Poland. Ask them same question, same exact answer. So I guess if I can say one person can't make a difference, but one person can definitely make a difference. And then the next person. We absolutely have to look at our positives and market our positives. Everybody has to be on board to do this. We all do. Every business, every employee, every resident. We have to start selling our positives that we have here. We have a beautiful state. We have a lot of opportunities. We in Harrison County, we're sitting in an excellent location. We tend to be very, very negative and our worst critic. We just need to learn from that and start marketing these positives. Start realizing what's in your own community and how can you turn this around. Social media, it took me a while to get on board to realize how fast and what a difference that makes, especially to a different generation. I have 5 of them, and I ask them questions constantly. What's going to make you leave? What's going to make you stay here? Learning from them, learning from this generation, asking the older generation, asking my father, you know, certain things. Why did you stay? What do you want to see here? We have to make sure that we're taking care of the older population and not losing the new population. And I kind of feel like everything in between will work itself out. Those positives that we have. The quality of life, using those here. You know, we all want to go somewhere else, but we have so many things that are here. Healthcare, really finding out, until I started looking and finding out some of the organizations that we have and just the specialties that we have just in our region that are amazing. Energy, technology, everything. I'm still learning. I'm still learning companies here and learning their history of why they're here.
Are we seeing, maybe it's too early to tell because we're not really completely through a COVID pandemic right now, but Lise and I were talking earlier how when COVID happened, you saw a lot of people coming area to go and do and be out, and golly saw that spruce and all. This area, you know, coming up, you can disc golf, you can kind of easily do things with social distancing. Is that, and I don't wanna sound morbid, is that positive for this area? Are we seeing maybe a trend that's gonna shift, where it's like, we don't wanna go to Pittsburgh, we'd rather stay in Morgantown, Fairmont, Clarksburg, Weston, down the corridor, because there's stuff to do with outdoorsy, and are we seeing anything change, or is it too early to tell?
Now, I would say we definitely, and some of you have already heard me say this at our annual last year, I don't think it's morbid, that's the silver lining. When we were in, maybe 2 or 3 months into COVID, realizing the calls that we were getting for economic development. 6 months in, the calls were still coming in for economic development. A year in, when I thought, wow, this is, you know, at the time that I thought we're gonna really have to pull all of these resources in, get the information out to these companies. Are they hurting? Yes, they're hurting. There are a lot of issues with a lot of the companies, but at the same time, we were the hot spot. There were a lot of companies that were saying, we no longer want to be in a metropolitan area. We absolutely want to go rural. So not only are we rural, our whole state is considered rural compared to where they're coming from. They already had plans prior to COVID to look for expansion and relocation. Now they're dialed in to say, we need to do this sooner rather than later. We've got a lot of employees that can work from home. You look at the cost of development, you look at the land, you look at the people that are here. It's been a great benefit to us. It's been I guess you can call it a silver lining. And it hasn't stopped. I wish we had the buildings and the space for them. You know, I hate turning them away, and it is kind of turning them away. When you get a company and you're contacted by the West Virginia Development Office that said, we're killing it, we're marketing West Virginia. I've sent it out to 4 or 5 of the other LEDs throughout the state. This is what I need. They want to be in Harrison County. We can't. We don't have a 100,000 square foot building. We don't have a 250,000 square foot. We don't even want to build a 250,000 square foot building. Where would we put that? The employees, could we service a building of 250,000 square feet? We want to say yes immediately. We want it to be located here. But at the time, if they're saying they need to turn around within just a couple months, we can't do that. So instead of doing that, we're saying, you know what, not right now. We will. We'll get there. So it's one 50,000 square foot building, it's another 100,000 square foot building. It's partnering regionally to say, what do you all have in your inventory? We need that in our inventory. We need to make sure that when Harrison County says no, Marion County has it, Doddridge County is building it. We have the possibility, we want it to be here. A lot of positive marketing, a lot of planning for the future. Yes.
How many business opportunities do they have at the Crossroads, or are going to have at the Crossroads?
Well, when it's up and running, they will have several. It's retail's going to be last. First, it's going to be industrial.
Okay.
They have a couple letters of intent for the industrial pieces that will go in there, and that will be not off of 50 and 79. It'll be a back entrance to that. So the first dirt work that's going to take place probably won't be visible because it's going to be industrial. And then phasing outwards to what you can see, then you'll see some of the commercial office space, and the last is going to be the retail off of 79.
Do they have a projected timeline for that?
They don't. I think they did in the beginning, but right now permitting, they have a lot of their environmental permits, and the last I heard, they're really waiting on the access points off of 50. They need at least one access point. And that's state right now for that. Yes.
Amy, would you speak to 2 issues? One is your role, the EDC, in regard to incentives for companies, tax breaks, tips, whatever. I'm sure you're involved in that. I just want to know kind of what your role is. Do you bring parties together to talk about that? What you can offer to companies? Because I know we're in competition with other states, and they put a lot of stuff on the table as well. And then the second thing is, speak to the need. I know our county land mass lacks water sewer infrastructure in a lot of the areas. We don't have the expansion that we really need. So if we could put the infrastructure, put the pipes in the ground in many of those areas where they lack currently, we could develop a whole lot more in Harrison County. So what's the input from the EDC as far as the public service districts, the local governments that need to expand their infrastructure? what kind of pressure can you bring to bear to make that happen?
Sure. First, for incentives, it's a case-by-case basis. We have general incentives at the state level, and then there are specific incentives for each of the areas. Let's say, like, locating in Bridgeport. In the city limits of Bridgeport, there are certain incentives that you have based on your business. If you're manufacturing, if you're aviation, incentives within TIF districts. So if you're at the airport, if you're in, development like this, or something that has a TIF, Charles Point, those are very specific. Do we, the EDC, can we offer a set package? We cannot. We will just market and talk to the entity based on their use. Put together the right team. So if we've got energy related that's coming in, and you've got a manufacturing that's coming in, or agriculture that's coming in, we're gonna reach each of those departments. We're gonna look federal and state of what we can get for them. We're gonna look at some of the locals that we have. If it's in a municipality, we're gonna reach out to them. We have the Harrison County Economic Development Alliance, so it's a smaller loan fund. We're gonna work with our local banks. We're gonna get creative. But that team really is going to be specific to the request. We don't have free land like some do to say, hey, if we have this company, we've got this. We don't have a couple $100,000 to say, if you're this manufacturing or this company, we're gonna give it to you. We rely on our state for that. Our state development office has been great. To the other question, yes, the infrastructure, that's difficult. We try to support as much as we possibly can. Like talked about the building blocks that we have to have. Broadband, access, transportation, it is difficult. It's based on location right now. We have several large pieces of land that we would love to market, would love to see developed, but it's gonna be difficult for water and sewer. We have municipalities that maybe have water and sewer, but don't have the transportation to these sites. Unless we have a private developer that's willing to step up and put a lot of money that it takes to do that, especially in West Virginia, a lot of earthwork. If you saw Charles Point, if you saw any of those, if you see that earthwork, that airport, what it takes to take the top of a mountain and drop it into a valley to create the land and all the utilities. The I-79 development, the 150 acres that I talked about, just the utility removal alone or relocation, extremely expensive.
Talking about infrastructure, you mentioned broadband. A lot of money coming into the state for broadband. So are we seeing it now? Is it here? Is it when do we see? When do you think we'll see these projects really take off and get connectivity through all these rural areas, underserved, unserved?
Some of those projects, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
some of the projects are underway, and some of those are private. So we're working with some of the private entities, the clusters, municipalities to get it in and to apply. Different pots of funds and different things they can go after. County-wise, specific projects, residential versus commercial or industrial or economic development related. We want to go after anything and everything. If it's economic development related, we typically don't go after residential. The residential comes from the county commission.
Looking in your economic development crystal ball, everybody loves those, right? Do we see this as happening like quickly?
No.
I mean,
I don't. I don't know if anyone else can answer that, but I don't see that.
do some of the mayors think it's gonna, like really take off, like really explosion of broadband going places, or is it kind of, you think it'll trickle in?
I'm gonna say it's gonna trickle in. This is gonna be a priority based, location based. Yes.
I agree.
So if anyone else can speak on that, it's gonna be location and priority when it comes to broadband, in my opinion. Mayor Lang is here, I don't know if anyone else can answer. See it.
You know, on the spot, that's fine. So, but I really do, I just know there's been a lot of federal money, a lot of state money put into that, and maybe what we need to do is ask, the chamber to maybe get a hold of, City Net or Frontier, somebody can speak to us while we do. It's a more important utility almost than water and sewer. That's when they come, they ask about that first, and, other things are just assumed. So, yeah, we ought to.
Yeah, and some companies even assume that we have it, and that's it's hard on our part. I know Tracy and I had a couple meetings on just bringing in and talking to other companies of what it could look like in 5 years. We wanna see what it could look like next week. So
Yeah, big corporations want redundancy, so when you're going out, and we're like, we're just lucky if we can bring it to you, let alone get redundancy someday, so, I've had some big conversations because Frontier has brought fiber into like the Kanawha County area, so Frontier called me at the office about their fiber, and I said, do you have it, when do you have it? And the guy said, I just wanna know if you'll be interested when I do bring it, but no, you will not have fiber in your area anytime soon. You know, I know that there are other broadband utilities that they have it to a certain point, but they want the company to pay to bring it to, for example, to Pratt Whitney or to some of the companies, so getting the players to pay to play is part of where is it sitting and where does it need to be so we can continue our industrial growth. It is a very arduous question, but a very good question.
But we have, sorry, go ahead.
Amy, how do you see us meeting the need, how do we meet the need for, the workforce? You know, you see this entire screen of jobs. Do we not have the people? Do we not have the people that want it? Do we not have the education for them? Where's the disconnect that there are this many jobs open and available?
I'm gonna say all of the above, and we're not the only state that has this issue. It's really a little bit of all of the above. Ones that are not trained, they wanna work, they wanna find the job, they're not trained. Ones that aren't here. So the lack of just population in general, enough people to pull from. The ones that don't wanna work, don't wanna be trained. So it's a little bit of everything. I don't know how we fix that. It's just continually going after it, reaching the right people, getting into, I know sometimes if you just share something on LinkedIn, you're only reaching people that are on LinkedIn. And the things that Louise has found is making sure that you're getting it to like the Lions Club, you're getting it to the churches, you're getting to the schools, you're getting it to them early enough when they're looking, or if they just happen to be skimming, if they think they'll just find it in the newspaper, they'll find it on Facebook. It needs to be there, it needs to be in the newspaper, it needs to be on Facebook, right where they're looking. Getting to them early enough, getting the education. You know, we thought that at one point, 10th graders, well, we're finding out that's probably a little too late. So then 8th graders, getting to them. What do you wanna do? What training is available? A lot of free training is available. Generate the excitement in grade school, elementary school, of what industries do we have here? What do you wanna be when you grow up? This is the path that you need to take to get to that. It's gonna be all of the above. And I deal with it in my own family, I guess. You know, my oldest son who moved here, I truly thought he was gonna stay here. He got a job offer in another state, and I thought, wow. So it's asking him constantly, what would get you back home? You know, well, I wanna come back. You know, I'll be back when we raise our family. Why not now? Why did you have to leave to begin with? You know, the other ones that are here, what would keep you here? Constantly asking those questions and do whatever we can to change it. And it's everything. And I keep getting the same answers. It truly is healthcare, jobs, activities, things to do, quality of life, affordable housing.
Red Lobster.
Red Lobster.
One of the things you mentioned is the importance of 50 and 79. As 79 continues to expand in Morgantown, there's going to be increased transit opportunities, but that's gonna have negative consequences potentially. With increased transit, you can have potentially increased congestion. How do we get to a partnership level with, I guess, transportation in addition to economic development? So getting them at the table.
I guess we're getting there, you know, with LEDs, with lead economic development entities, with governmental officials, and we have some of these committees formed. I think some of them kind of died, you have different people coming in, but generate the excitement and the movement around ideas, around larger projects, regionalism, If something is going to be located in one county, instead of just saying, oh, we missed that one, they got it, and move on. It's, no, we all ended up with this project. You know, we all have whatever, if you're going down or you're losing a company, that's gonna affect all of us. If you're getting a company, it's gonna affect all of us. It's regional thinking and having everybody at the table regionally. The LEDs that each of these counties have, making sure that they're dialed in with the state and having the state involved. Really just less county borders when you're planning. And I will also say more planning. 30 years of planning experience, I would love to see more planning in this state. Instead of just saying, well, we'll just take whatever we can get. We'll just throw it against the wall and something will stick. Why can't we pick? Why can't we say what we want here? Why can't we find locations, correct locations for things? Why can't we plan for 50 years to say, if this company's coming in, it actually makes sense to have them over here with this company. Or if they're coming, this company needs to be located over here, if you look at the employment of where they're located. Right now, it just kind of feels like, we'll just take anything we can get. We don't have to be like that. I'd like to see more planning in everything.
Other questions?
You may not know the answer to this, or you may, is Menards breaking ground this month?
This month?
Yeah.
Well, Andrea's back there. They are coming soon.
Cause I've heard that if they don't break ground in March, they won't until the next year.
Yeah, we hear the same.
Yeah, rumors, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's corporate plan that they have, I guess that they have a certain deadline that they wanna meet, for opening. We've heard that they are gonna break ground, and it's happening. And they're working on a few of the paperwork details on a few others. Andrew, I don't know if you've heard the same, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's probably all that we can
So
say.
here's
but-
our second one, for sure. We've not received any plans yet, so it won't happen this month for sure.
We have, been contacted by a few of the other companies that wanna be located there, but their trigger point, of course, is Menards. So the minute they break ground, then you'll see the other ones that are waiting behind the scenes. It's gonna be the same thing with Crossroads. When that first access point and that permit takes place, then you'll start to see dirt work and things happening, triggering.
Thank you.
Don't wanna put you on the spot, but Harry or John, any date on Olive Garden, since that seems to be?
I believe next month, the next month or two.
April or May, yeah. And Hobby Lobby?
Summer.
Summer, okay.
That was last.
And while we're not getting a Red Lobster, but, Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah,
Longhorn.
Longhorn Steakhouse.
Longhorn did pull their permit with the plans in for the, eating parts,
Nice.
so that'll be happening. I think they'll.
And that'll be the one takeaway from today's thing.
Yeah. Well, Amy, Luis, thank you very much. A lot of exciting things going on. Our next business after hours will be April the 6th. That will be over in Charles Point at 100 Marketplace, hosted by Home Finders Plus Real Estate. Our next business at breakfast will be here on April the 8th. We're working to nail down some speakers on broadband, workforce, and if you have any other topic suggestions, please let us know. We're also looking for sponsors. As many of you know, the legislative session ends tomorrow night at midnight, so big relief there. And don't forget, this weekend is the time change as well. So we thank you all for being here this morning. Look forward to seeing you at the next event, and have a great Friday.